This project is facilitated by Calderdale Council and Yorkshire Forward. The project has emerged through the Renaissance Market Towns programme. It's an exciting project.
The project came about through the Upper Calder Valley Renaissance, which is a Yorkshire Forward initiative that covers a number of towns in the borough. Within each town there were workshops and initiatives underway to develop schemes and proposals, and out of that the Sowerby Copley development came about.
The principle of the development of the site has been established through what's called the Unitary Development Plan. That's the document which sets out the planning policies, allocates land in this district. There is no planning application and no planning consent as yet. That will be put in by the preferred developer following their appointment.
The Stern Mill acquisition came about because there were property developers interested in acquiring the site just for pure housing. That meant that the council took an opportunity, with support from Yorkshire Forward, to purchase the site to enable us to have far more control over future development.
Yorkshire Forward and Calderdale Council have invested in the site to date, largely in terms of assembling the site. The site formerly used to be in multi-ownerships, and one of the things that Yorkshire Forward has done is to help de-risk the project for the private sector by assembling the site into one ownership.
We've got a growing population in Calderdale. On top of that, people are starting to live longer, and people are also living on their own, which is much more common than it used to be in the past. On top of that, we also have regional targets which we're asked to fulfil. Those regional targets for us at the moment are that we accommodate 670 new properties every year within the district up until 2026.
Yeah, after the initial consultation, this so-called master plan was brought out into the open, and although the council did at that stage deny the existence of any master plan, I would still like them to come forward and say that no master plan exists and there has to be consultation between themselves and any appointed developer.
There is no master plan, and there won't be until the developer is selected, and they then come out with a public consultation, hopefully later on this year.
I am a resident of Copley Village, and I'd like to ask some questions of Calderdale Council. I'd like to know exactly what measures Calderdale Council is going to insist that the chosen developers take to protect us in Copley Village from the increased flood risk as a direct result of the proposed developments, and who is going to be held responsible and accountable for making sure those measures are strictly adhered to.
Well, if you live in an area like Copley that's next to a major river, then you're obviously keenly aware of the effect that flooding can have on your community, and it's only natural to be concerned about anything that you might think that could increase the risk of flooding to your property. Any development on land that currently floods is obviously going to take up that floodplain, which means it's going to go elsewhere. It's going to be pushed down towards where they are. So that's obviously one reason for concern. Reducing flood risk by improving existing defences is acceptable, and it can obviously reduce the frequency of flooding, but it doesn't eliminate that risk completely. Obviously, as soon as any planning applications come in for each individual part of the regeneration scheme, they will have to then carry out their own flood risk assessments on each part. We have the ability to object to an application until we're entirely happy with what's been proposed.
And finally, I'd like to know, what's the detailed evacuation plan for Copley Village and its residents when we do have a flood here?
The fire and rescue team would actually carry out the actual rescue if the water was at a level as such where evacuation and rescue was required. In terms of evacuation, it's the emergency services that make that decision, normally the police. What they would do is, if evacuation was required, they normally alert the council, and the council escorts the residents to rest centres throughout Calderdale and provide social and welfare facilities for the residents.
The proposed regeneration of Sowerby Bridge, I think, is a very good idea, and one that the area has been wanting for a long time. The potential for that area is very good. One thing I would ask the organisations organising the development, Yorkshire Forward and Calderdale Council, is that are we as Halifax Canoe Club and organisations similar to us going to be directly involved in the final planning process and the development process of this project?
In terms of involvement in further planning of the project, all organisations and any member of the public will be invited along to consultation. We have been collecting names of organisations who've expressed an interest in being involved to date, so we have a list of those and they will receive communications. And the communication and the consultation isn't just for Sowerby and Copley. Anybody in Calderdale is welcome to come along and give us their views, and I'll actively encourage as many as possible to be involved and help shape the way forward.
Well, plans are at an early stage at the moment, but as far as the impacts on the local nature reserves are concerned, the plan is that part of Milner Royd Local Nature Reserve will be retained, but in addition a new local nature reserve will be created at Hollis Fields at the eastern end of the site. Well, this area you can see in front of you is proposed to become a new local nature reserve to be called Hollis Fields Nature Reserve. And the idea is that paths will be put down and new wildlife habitats will be created, wetland habitats, grassland habitats and the like. We've also already started work on removing Japanese knotweed from the site. We have a legal obligation to remove this invasive species. You can see it grows to a height of about 2+ metres and grows very, very fast. So what we're doing is treating it with chemicals with the idea of eradicating it from the site. We've carried out several wildlife surveys. We're also commissioning an ecological impact assessment, and that will set out detailed measures to protect wildlife both during construction and after construction.
Hi, I'm Steve Whitt. I'm one of many concerned Copley Village residents. I have a question that I'd like to ask of Calderdale Council. One of your corporate priorities is to create safer roads. Exactly what do you intend to do to make Copley Lane safer, since the existing situation is already dangerous for children walking to school up and down Copley Lane?
I believe Mr Whipp has expressed some concern over the traffic impact from the development on Copley Lane. At the moment we don't honestly know what that impact is going to be. As part of the planning application process, the applicant will have to submit a transportation assessment. Transportation assessment will look at surrounding junctions and surrounding roads, and it's at that time when the report will look at in detail what the impact is on those surrounding junctions and the highway network. But to be honest to Mr Whitt, right now we do not know what the development impact is going to be on Copley Lane.
I'm a resident of Sowerby Bridge, and I would like to ask Yorkshire Forward and Calderdale Council just what are their proposals for introducing new industry into the Copley Valley redevelopment, bearing in mind that we are left with quite heavy pollution of previous industries.
The type of industry that comes onto the site or businesses would depend on the state of the national economy and the local economy. It's certainly not an area, Calderdale, where we're going to get the big crinkly tin sheds, the big distribution warehouses you get around Wakefield. The type of industry that is attracted to this area is far smaller scale, sometimes manufacturing, some offices, looking for far smaller premises. And it's that type of industry which is far easier to incorporate into the landscape.
We believe that the rural market towns have got a very important part to play in improving the region's economy. It's about creating better places, places where people can live and invest and visit and work. It's about creating jobs for the local area and strengthening the local economy.